I'm gonna share my screen for the remote folks, and we're going to be ready.
No, we're going to a popular motorcycle resort down there. It's called Deals Gap. We're on the border of Tennessee and North Carolina. We've got a road there called the Tail of the Dragon.
So remote folks, can you see my screen now? Great.
300, 318 turns and 11 miles. Yeah, that's crazy. Super scenic.
All right, so let's start. All right, guys. Okay, so as I've mentioned today, I'm going to talk to you about the Cocos2dx game engine. It's a game engine I've been working with since 2012. I was in a BlackBerry conference in San Francisco, and then these folks came in and they showed us this awesome game framework that worked for the BlackBerry Z10. And back in those days were the early days of the Z10. There were not a plenty of engines that were able to run on the Z10 platform. So that's how I get my hands on this framework. Something interesting about the framework is that it was created by a Latin American guy, a guy from Argentina. That's why Cocos, it means coconuts. That's the name of the city of that guy. There's a city in Argentina, it's called Los Cocos, and it's called the engine Cocos. And you might have heard about Cocos2d, not the X, but the Cocos2d. Back in the early days of the App Store, there are a lot of people that became millionaires because you remember that bubble of the App Store, and a lot of people created games, and most of those games were created with the original version of Cocos2d. What happens is that in 2011, there's a Chinese company. It's called Shukon Technologies. They bought the framework, and then they created the Cocos2dx because the original framework, Ricardo Quesada, who is the creator, it was a Python framework. Then they ported the Python framework to the iPhone. So it was just Objective-C. So these Chinese folks, what they did was to port the Objective-C framework into a C++ framework. So since it was C++, you were able to compile it in iOS, Android, and then since the Z10 was based in C++, the API, so it was easily ported to the Z10. So after they finished the C++ implementation, they began the support of other languages, including Lua and JavaScript. So today we are going to be focusing on the JavaScript implementation. So this is let me unfreeze the screen. This is an overall picture of how the framework is structured. You can see that you have JavaScript API, you have Lua, and you have C++. Something interesting is that the framework will not create just a web view in the native application as other frameworks like Cordova will do. It actually creates a native application, and then it interprets the JavaScript as a script itself, and you can feel the power of a native application even though you created the code using JavaScript. And of course, you're still going to see a gap in the performance, but the creators of the engine, they say that in the early stage of the game, they recommend you to use JavaScript because it's way faster, of course, than using C++. And then if your game make it to a million downloads, then it will make sense to go C++. Otherwise, it won't make any sense because the performance difference is not that much. And also, you're going to see an impact in the size of the game itself, but it's not. It doesn't work to program it in C++ just because your file is going to be 20 bytes less, kilobytes less. Okay, so this is certain of the advantages that I found over the years using this framework. One of the first is that it runs as a native application, as I mentioned. The performance is really, really good. And since it runs as a native application, you can take advantage of the hardware itself. Let's say you want to use the GPS, you want to use the accelerometer, any functionality that is built in your hardware, you can access directly without any wrapper if you would like to do that. Other thing that is interesting is that it uses common programming language. It means that you do not have to learn a new language to program with this framework. It's free. I meant to write. It's free. It's totally free.
Close enough.
Yeah, we and I always make emphasis in that point because you will find engines like Unity, for instance. You can download for free Unity. You can create games for free using Unity. But if you are going to be serious with creating games with Unity, you will have to pay. I'm not saying it's expensive, but you will have to pay. That's not the case in Cocos2dx. You can make millions out of it without paying a penny if you
Why
don't
is
like
that?
it.
Is it just because the company doesn't care and they made it totally open source?
Yeah, that's
The Chinese company that took over the other company that rewrote it in C++, they were just like, go
yeah,
at it,
yeah. They're not looking to make profit out of it. What they want is to
get it out there.
yeah, get it out there and have the community working on their engine because they are making money. They have a lot of games out there using their engine. So if people kind of improve their engine from free, that's pretty much what they want.
So there's no other like sort of services that offers to optimize that type of Cocos2dx application?
yes. Actually,
I'm
now,
assuming like Red Hat, they would kind of give it to you for free, but if you want support, you're going to need to pay us money or something.
yeah, they're kind of moving to that model right
Okay,
now.
that makes sense.
Yeah, if any of you have used Unity before, they have like Unity store, and that's what they're creating. They're creating a store. It's up right now, and right now everything is free. But I read that they're planning to make a store and actually make money out of it, and then you can sell your scripts. The designer can sell their models. Pretty much how Unity store works at this moment. Okay, so. And there are some common libraries that it uses, like for instance, Box2D, which is a physics engine. Also, Chipmunk is a very widely common use. Chipmunk is C, Box2D is C++. C guys will go Chipmunks, C++ will go Box2D. Also, they built their own Cocos2D physics engine. It's based on Chipmunk, so you don't have to go deeper in the physics if you don't want to. And there's an active community that is working on it. So even Ricardo, who created the engine, he's very responsive. You can get answer from him just in hours. They have their main office in North America. It's in Palo Alto, in California. Ricardo just moved to California 2 years ago. So of course, the advantages of using the JavaScript version is, of course, you can test your code rapidly, way faster than using the C++ one. It's easier to debug. It's a lightweight engine. The engine itself, if you want just to run it on the web, there's a like a light version. It takes 700 kilobytes. It's very lightweight. Of course, less line of code. It runs in any modern browser and Internet Explorer.
So is it compiled or interpreted?
It's interpreted.
Okay. So the JavaScript is interpreted, but there's something that's compiled that's running it, and that's why it's bad.
Exactly. Yeah, as I mentioned, the application it's built like natively, but it integrates it internally. But it's not a web view like Cordova. Okay. So these are all the supported platform, which is very interesting. That you can create your code once, and then it will run in your web browser, but also native in iOS, Android, BlackBerry 10, Windows Phone, Linux, Windows, Mac OS. Even the Tizen project, I haven't heard about Tizen during the last 2 years, but we do have Tizen support for Cocos2dx. And yeah, I'm not going to get into much details on the theoretical part. We're going to jump on to the fun stuff real quick. So just to mention the basic of all the game development, which is the sprite. Like any graphical object that you see in the screen, it's in sprite, and that's pretty much for every game engine. That's a simple concept. So Cocos2dx is an object-oriented framework, so the sprite is a class. And for images, the framework forces you to use PNG because it's light and you can use the transparent background, so it works very smooth. And it uses the concept of an anchor point. So if you want to position that image on the screen, what you're really positioning is this point. So if I put this sprite in the 0.0 coordinate of the screen, so you're going to see just like the right eye and the right arm of that bunny. Other thing that I want to mention real quick, it's the coordinate system used by Cocos2dx. Because when we are creating graphic programs, most of the time we have the origin over here, but Cocos2dx has the origin here, meaning the point 0, 0, it's here. So if I position this bunny here, so I'm going to see that.
Intuitive to a user.
Yes, yes, of course.
Yeah.
It's way more intuitive to the user.
The standard way is just you have to think backwards on that.
Yeah, yeah, it's more human-friendly this. And of course, I could change the anchor point of the bunny, let's say to put it in the 0.0 of that sprite. So if I position that bunny here, I can see the complete bunny, which would make more sense in a lot of situations. So how do I start? Cocos2dx allows you the possibility to just do your code on your own. A lot of programmers will like this approach, like not having any graphical user interface at all. You can definitely do that. If you are going to do that, I'll recommend you Brackets, which is a JavaScript editor created by Adobe. It works really good. I've tried with Atom, I've tried with Sublime, Visual Studio Code. Of course, you can use whatever you want, but the integration it has, it allows me to work way faster with this particular framework. And the IntelliSense, the code condition, works very good with Adobe Brackets, and not the same with Atom and Visual Studio Code. But if you would like to have an integrated environment, you can use Cocos Creator, which is what we're going to use in a few moments. So that's it for the theoretical part. So before moving to our hands-on on the actual code, do you guys have any questions? No? So let's wear our hands on. Let's get our hands dirty. Move. Let's go. So here, we have here the Cocos Creator, which is a complete graphical interface where here coexists the code and all the graphical assets. So like here on the left, you can see that I have some visual elements like the bunny background, which is the background you're seeing here. I have here the bunny, the actual bunny that you can see here. I don't have plenty of space because of the resolution. That's okay. And you see here that we have some carrots that are going to fall from the sky. So you see I have carrot left, carrot center, and carrot right. So here I also have the scripts that I would like to use. Like for instance, I created a simple script. It's called fall. So what this script does is that to whatever graphical object I apply this script, it's going to make it fall from whatever position it is. It's going to change the position until this number in the Y axis. So I'm just using this simple action. It's called move to. Move to is a simple function. It just receives three parameters. The first parameter is the amount of time in seconds that action is going to take place. Like I want to move this sprite from this point to this point, and it has to happen in 2 seconds, let's say. right here, what I made is to create a random number, so that speed varies randomly. So the number of seconds that it's going to take from to the carrot to get from the sky to the ground, it's going to be a random number of seconds between 2 and 6. And then I'm just going to pass the final position of that carrot, which is going to be its actual position of X because it's not going to move horizontally. And then the final position on Y, it's going to be minus 780. That's just a random number, an arbitrary number that I just wanted a number that it's outside of the view.
And you could get the actual screen height instead,
Yeah,
but this is a sample.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. As Robert mentioned, here you can see that I have the design resolution here. So this is the height. The design has a height of 1,280. That's actually the BlackBerry Z10 resolution. Yeah, I'm a big fan. Okay, so let me run this. It runs, default it opens Internet Explorer. I don't like to use Internet Explorer just because I can use the debug console, and of course the Chrome console is way lighter and way easier to use. So I can just write any console log or whatever I want to debug, and I'm just going to use it for native development. So you can see here that I'm able to move the bunny, and I created the collision for one of the carrots, which was the one on the left. All right, so let's go to take a look at the code. And of course, if we have time, we can just after this create something real simple from scratch. So what I did after I got the complete project created from the scratch, here in assets, I just created a folder for images. It's really simple. I just right click, I created a new folder. Inside the new folder, I create images. I just drag all the images I would like to use for this project. So here you see I have a bomb, I have other backgrounds like a night background. I have the bunny in different states, like black, like he was hit by a bomb, so he's very angry about that. He's happy because he's eating his idol. I have a lot of resources that I can play with. And maybe we can put some bombs here. We have no bombs. I can just drag and drop. As many folks like, as many folks hate. But we have a bomb. We just drag bomb and it's over there. And if I put it here inside of a string, I'm going to be able to see that. You see that without a lot of stuff, it is there. But of course, that bomb makes no sense there. I'm going to put it in the sky and I'm going to make the bomb fall. Let's do that. It's going to be really easy. So since I already have a script that makes things fall down, I just go here to the bomb, and in the right column you can see we have properties here. So we're going to associate the fall script to that particular sprite. So I'm just going to move this. Blah, voila.
That's a question.
Yep. So. Okay. I'm sorry. But so we fall here. Boom. Boom instead of the canvas, and let me put fall instead of collision. Save this and let me run this. Yeah, and of course. Yeah, this is live. Let's see what happened here. Yeah.
Is that okay?
No, it's actually a bug. It still has many bugs. Like if I try to remove it, it will complain. You see here. Yeah. But anyway, so I can debug here to see what's going on. I can put a console.log, or I can use their own way of logging things, which is cc.log. And let's just reload it and make sure that we have the loaded sign 4 times, 3 carrots and 1 bomb. So let's go here. Oh, no need for that. The bomb is already found. Huh. So we do have a bomb, and of course it's following from using a random speed. So you see that if I refresh it, it varies because I always pick a random duration for all of those. Great. So something we could take a look at, it's the event handling. Like I want to move the bunny. The code is written, but it's not moving right now. I'm clicking on it and it's doing nothing. So we're going to take a look at how the events are actually handled and how can apply that code to a particular sprite. So here I have the move bunny script. So pretty much with the first function that it's called whenever you run script is the unload function. So you can see that all objects that we are seeing here, all are JSONs. You can see here, all of these are just JSON properties. So the onload property has a function that it's just calling the handle touch, which is right here. So I'm just telling him here to the event manager that I want to add a listener. And of course, we have different kind of listeners. We have keyboard listeners, we have accelerometers listeners, and here we're using a touch listener. And we have many kind of touch listeners. This one is a single touch listener. What I want is just to move the bunny with my hand. I don't need multiple touches for this particular case. And in this JSON object, I'm specifying that whenever the user begins to touch the screen, this function is going to be called on touch began. And whenever he moves touch, it's going to call the on touch move function. So I can apply this to any sprite on the screen. So to refer to the particular object that I've applied this script, I use this dot node. This dot node refers to the object you applied. It's the same thing we use here for the false script. We have the same script for 4 objects. But here you can see that I'm using this dot node to actually run the action. So since the move bunny code is in place, let's apply it to our bunny. And it is actually applied. So let's see what happened here. It should be working. It was actually working when we were starting. I just want to figure out why. Stop. Okay, so this is the test we previously wrote. We were expecting to have 4, which is correct. We can now erase that and rapidly debug what's going on with the event handling, and then finally start from scratch simple project. Remove that real quick, and I'm going to move bunny that it seems has no issue at all. I'm just going to log here that is actually being loaded, event handling load, and we're just going to. It actually refreshes itself once you change anything. You don't have to refresh; it does it automatically. And event handling load. That's nothing. Okay, so let me clear these to see if I can see any. It's printing null at some point. Actually, the storage. So first then, or last time will just be if it makes it here, if done, we just continue to other thing. Storage. No. Okay, so finally, what I want to do is just to show you what you're going to see when you install Cocos2dx, and I'm just going to close this project and create a new one, new project, say a Hello World project, and yeah, let's say Blue Spurs. It's loading right now. Here. Okay, so this is the empty project, and it has pretty much nothing in here. So we can use their default resources like this hello world thing, place it in. Then if I click run, it just shows. It should show. Open here in Chrome, quick. You can see here our Cocos2dx logo. And as I've mentioned, what I did here to have my workbench more organized, I just created a folder to have here my images, and then you can have your sounds and everything. Everything is very simple. You can just, if you want to play sounds, you just call the play effect function. Like that's the goal of the framework, to abstract all the complexity, and you just focus in the logic of the game itself. So we're just going to make the Cocos2dx logo to fall from the sky. So for that, we're just going to create a new script, create JavaScript. You can see here that they support CoffeeScript, but I haven't seen anyone in the community actually using CoffeeScript for this. So, create a small script. Of course, it will create a template code for you to work on. So I'm just going to create a variable, let's call it move2, which is a move action. Let's say move2, and you can say that the editor itself, because it's going to help you with auto completion. And you can see here that it actually tells you the parameters. First parameter is the duration. Second parameter, it says position. It should say X because it's weird. And yeah, English translation is not very good because this was built in Chinese first and they just translated to English, and then you're going to see that translation is not too good. Okay, so it's going to take 3 seconds to get to the actual X position of this node, and minus 900, which is outside of string. And then, of course, this node is going to run the action. This node, run action, move2. That's it. I have the script asset, and then, as we did before, we just need to assign that script to that particular sprite. So I'm just going to drag this over here, and that should work. let's run this. Open this in from. There you go. Voila. So, very, very fast. So, finally, I just wanted to point out that if you want to get started using this technology, and I won't lie, it's very experimental. You can tell the particular that Cocos creators thing. They've been working for it for the last months. It's not very stable. It crashes a lot still. But if you want to do your thing by yourself, like for the, using the C++ part, it's very stable. It's widely used right now. It has the Microsoft support. Like they have in their roadmap to be able to build Xbox games and Disney and a lot of big companies are using Cocos2dx. But it's still, yeah, being honest, it's a bit buggy. But you know, a lot of people we do like that. Being experimental, not being buggy, no. But you know, have latest edge technology and find some bugs and then solve it by yourself. It's kind of fun.
In my experience, any of those tools like Adobe, Dreamweaver, or any of those tools that are like, will help you design websites by dragging and dropping, they are just fraught with problems and bugs and design issues that are entire systems. And anyone who's actually serious about any implication in that framework is going to probably use something else. Like you said, they're going to do the code itself. They're not going to use the tool.
And it's open source, so if you find a bug or something that's not working as you would like to, you can just fix it or change it.
Problem with WYSIWYGs, they're really good at doing the one thing that they're designed to do.
Yeah.
When you try and do something outside of what they're designed to do, they just don't handle it.
It's just like, oh, I want to do custom, well, I have to do it myself. That's why this framework.
So here's
It's good to
the
learn.
here's the download page. They have two branches, the 3 branch and the 2 branch. The only reason why you should use the branch 2 is if you want to make games for BlackBerry. The latest version, they don't support BlackBerry anymore.
Because they're gone.
I don't know why, but
Well, there's still software, but
You're not selling that many courses.
They stopped selling.
and actually, the QNX implementation it's deprecated, and newer BlackBerry devices use the Android-based operating system.
so that would be free. Would support all Android stuff.
Well, 2 supports Android too, but
I know.
yeah.
And then you can see here that you can download version 2, 3. There's the, as I mentioned, the HTML light version. Let me see how it's. You can see you can like the compressed version is just 430 gigs, and you have your game on the web. So it's very light. The Cocos creator, I don't know why it's not available in Linux because they're using Electron, which is the same framework that Slack uses. It's just JavaScript embedded in the desktop, but they don't have a Linux version yet for this. And the SDK box, it's something that they're introducing. It's pretty much a fast way to integrate your games with social. So let's say Google Play, Google Achievements, Facebook, Twitter. So you don't have to build that from the scratch. SDK box is going to provide you all of that out of the box. They do have here showcase of games that are just a lot of games that have been made. Have you heard about that? It's quite popular. Badland.
Oh, Badland.
Yeah, it was created. It wasn't actually created with. It was created with Cocos, not Cocos2dx, but it's part of the Cocos family. It was created with Cocos2dx It's the name of the branch. So you can see a lot of titles here. So
Who's that Donald Trump?
Donald Trump and the hell. What? Okay. Excellent. So the last thing we're going to do is that I've mentioned that we're going to have a draw right now, and one of you is going to be the proud owner of the Cocos2dx book, and it's going to have dedication from the author of the book. So let's just make a quick list, and then random.org it's going to help us to create a random number. Random.org. Okay, So we have Varden, we have Caleb, we have Ryan, we have
Make sure we get people on the phone.
Kyle,
Dustin.
we have Howard, we have Dustin,
Liam.
we have Ian. Bring you do that.
It's okay.
Well, no, there's only one Liam.
So we have Robert here, we have Danny, we have Ian Long, we have to specify.
Caleb, you have to specify too.
Yeah, that's
Caleb
right.
Well, it depends on whether Caleb D is on the phone.
Yeah.
Kelly, what's your last name?
Reef.
Reef?
Those are-
R-E-A-T-H.
Yeah.
So
Same
we
Christmas
have
wreath.
Ian Long, Ian, what's your last name?
Yes.
Yes.
Solid.
S-A-W-L-O-R.
S-A-W.
L-O-R.
Okay.
David. David.
David,
Derek.
Derek, and
Alex.
Alex Burpee.
Yes.
You see?
there you
I see.
And Juju.
And we have
Juju.
Mr. Senor Monsier Jules Dion.
So who do we have on the phone? We should include the voice.
Of course, we have. Yeah, we have. Of course, we have to include our remote folks.
We'll
we
ship
have
if we need to.
Greg. Let's start here with Mike. We have Greg.
Chris.
Chef Chris Ryan. Sorry. We have Brian Nicholas. Brad and Bala.
Which Brad?
Brad, which Brad are you?
No, Brad.
Everyone knows
There's
Brad.
two Brads. There's two Brads.
Oh, Brad.
And Mike O.
Which one?
There's three Brads actually.
Yeah.
Isn't there? No, two Brads.
How many Brads?
Brad Parks.
Two Brads we have.
Oh, I thought I was the only one.
Yeah, it's Brad.
What's your
Okay,
last
that's
name, Brad?
Brad. Yeah. Blue Ellen.
Blue Allen.
Okay.
F.
That's Brad, that
F.
Perfect.
Nailed it. Okay, so we're
We got
just going to
numbers.
generate a number between. It's everyone in? Yes? So let's go. We're going to generate a number, but random.org. It's,
Did we get Ryan?
It's supposed to be to be trustable.
Yeah, they're
Put
right.
minimum to 2 and max to 2.
Let's do that just for the sake of. Between 2 and 2, and the result is 3. I said 2 and 3. You lose.
I still lost.
Oh, it doesn't put it on there.
Okay.
That's a weird feature. You don't want this.
Okay.
Wait, can it be the maximum?
Okay. Dun, 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 dun. You guys ready?
Well,
Number 11. That is Ian Saylor.
At least an Ian got it.
So next week we're going to give you the dedicated version of a copy of that. So thank you everyone for coming, and if you have any question, I think we have some minutes for that.
We should have a Cocos2dx game competition.
Yeah, we should.
We should get a bunch of people on it. Put an hour or an hour and a half in an afternoon. Get everybody in a room. You can do your planning, but then see what games you can get done in an hour and a half. And then, yeah, a little hackathon, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like one.
You gotta have some prizes.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty nice.